Good day, Lord and Ladies. Welcome back to Citizen Sleeper. Okay, the clambering burr. So, let's start doing this. That's going up. I want to help these guys get this sorted as well. So for those of you who just got back in, as you stop to rest in one of the pilgrim seats Carinus bays, hopping up to sit on the supply crate, you hear a now familiar voice behind you. Sleeper, glad you're here. Soul Suits hisses as he clanks up towards you. I knew you'd help us out. We sure do appreciate everything you've done for us. No worries, you say. I do mean it, Sleeper. He looks away down the bay to where sparks jump from welding torches. It's a grim job to be doing without a few friends around. Soul settles beside you, flinching a little, but making himself comfortable on the crate. Seems the word got out, this way or that. He nods towards the welders a little way off, one of them wearing shipyard overalls. We've had people flowing in from the eye, looking for a place. In truth, it's more than I thought, Soul sighs, which means more mouths to feed, more bodies to house, more people to protect. Can we do it, you say? Soul frowns. We'll do it. We'll do what we can, as always. I'm not sure any of it can be enough. He looks down. We were supposed to stay here, not keep running. Soul waves away the thought. Don't listen to me. He gives you a sideways glance. Just a tired old man, he stretches. I have something to ask, though. Something new? Soul takes his head. No, not so much. Old matters mostly. With all the evacuees, well, we need to change of plan, he shrugs. Pilgrim Seed can't do it alone. We need the others to help out. We can carry them, house them, but that's all. Now you've settled down the folks from Ember's Step, and they've sent us supplies grown in those dust houses of theirs. If you could get more, he nods to himself. And then the Song's crew, he rubs his chin. What we need from them is scouting and security. We don't need that docking access of theirs, but with some careful scavenging, they could be our fleet. These folks, they know you, Sleeper. You earned their trust already. You put a hand on your shoulder. I sent my request out, and they seem to be complying, but I need you out there making sure they'll get it done. Time is our greatest enemy now, so stares into the distance. I need you out there speeding things up. Of course, you say. So nods. All right then. He clambers off the crate, his suit hissing as he does. Think of it this way: either way, you won't have to deal with much longer. He smiles an uneven smile, unless, of course, you're planning to come along for the trip. I don't know, you say. He so winks. I'll leave it with you. So waves a hand and starts off towards the base entrance. Crackling sound of welding quickly covers up his clanking suit. You watch the workers, the shipyard, the contractors chatting amongst themselves, are already looking like he belongs. You push the thoughts of escape, of home and of the future to the back of your mind and get up. There's always more to do. You better head to the other ships in the fertility to see what you can be done. Okay. So we're on a time sink. Let's get this going. Okay, desperate plan. Peaky beckons you over to the wide mess table where you set up a terminal. The hours of blurry-eyed work have left you both drained, and Peaky looks ready to collapse. You slide onto the curved couch beside them, something dark and malevolent filling their screens like an oily stain. The Shadow Protocol, you say. Not quite. Peaky's eyes seem to glitter in the screen light. This isn't what you think, Sleeper. Not by a long shot. You look again at the screen, leaning in close to the dark. Curved shapes to see its texture. You see whirls and currents like a river. A dark flow unlike the Shadow Protocol's dark tangles. You know exactly what this is. You have swum in this river, almost drowned in its sifting flow. It is the garden's chorus. Dark cloud that blankets the green waste networks. The bioorganic morass of a malfunctioning protocol grown vast and strange. The gardener, you whisper. Peaky glances at you. How do you... They pause. Have you met them? I have. Peaky shakes his head. Incredible. Then perhaps you won't be surprised by what I'm about to propose. Peaky meets your eye. Everything I have tried to do to contain the Shadow Protocol has been a failure. It slips through any containment, absorbs any countermeasure. That, unfortunately, is an unavoidable fact. And yet the eye is still spinning. The Shadow Protocol is being slowed, particularly contained. It is spread across the station, as we have seen, but in reduced pockets, in fragments. So I started to look outside of our test cases, outside of these fragments that have been poking and prodding in our little lab. Peaky smiles, and look what I found. Peaky taps a key on the terminal, and you realise the screen is showing a recording of the data flowing inside the eye's networks, sampled from hundreds of points across the greenway. You watch as a subtle shift occurs on the edge of the flowing dark curves that blankets the greenway. Something spreading like an ink stain, somehow darker than black. It bleeds across the Shadow Protocol. Now watch. Peaky eagerly points at the screen, and you see strange fizzling at the edge of the shadow, a sparkling, and then it's gone. And beneath, for a moment, a millisecond, you see the network of the greenway. You are reminded of an image you had forgotten, of pulling a plant from its pot and seeing a bone-white root ball where you expected to see dark soil. A white connections writhing with like worms, and then it is gone. A dark flow closing up as quickly as it opened. It dissolved the shadow, you said. Exactly, Peaky nods. It protected itself. You think back to your meeting with the gardener, to the sense of something old and hollowed and inhuman in its core. Peaky excitedly starts to explain. This is the only chance we have, the only countermeasure we have seen. In the moment it opened, I detected something, a centralized intelligence with the local ID gardener. This protocol, this system, whatever it is, can protect its network from the Shadow Protocol, but it stays in the greenway. The eye will still fall. The station systems are too exposed to spread across the hub. The spitbyard, the spokes. Peaky glances away. The only way to break it open, to spread the entire network across it, expand it somehow. You want to let the gardener out. I've been inside there, Peaky. Let's go with that. Peaky pauses, trying to read your expression. And this gardener? Can they help us? Try to remember what that strange being said to you, but all you remember is the feeling of dissolving into that network, the heady mix of growth and decay, the ceaselessness of it. Would they protect the station, or would they simply dissolve it? They might. Peaky steady stands up and walks away a little. They lean against the countertop, their heads hanging so low their long hair touches the work surface. You hear them breathing deeply. I don't know, Sleeper. They lift their head. I really don't know. It's okay, you say. Peaky turns. Is it? They are angry. Is it okay that we have decided this to attempt this alone? You know as well as Peaky that it is. This is it. You know it's because you have past cycles you have run every simulation, every possibility you could think of, and it still came up with nothing. You have stared at the hole in your screen and dreamt of that black shadow creeping in at the edge of your vision. Peaky recognises the look in your eyes, the potential cocktail of resignation and anger. Let's say we do this, Peaky begins, eyeing you carefully. What do we need? They begin to answer their own question, thinking out loud. I suppose we'd need to do two things. First, find a way to limit or control the gardener's spread, and then reconnect the greenway. Peaky starts pacing, the ideas coming quickly now. Controlling the spread means preparing the station, limiting the gardener's network to key systems. We don't want it taking everything. We just need it to protect the station's core functionality. Then we need to then we need to reconnect the greenway, hook it back up to the main line of the network. Those systems we prepared, they should connect, and the gardener will spread along the pathway we prepared. At least that is my theory, Peaky grimaces. But if we don't prepare correctly, the greenway, the gardener might not spread, or it might spread to everything. Peaky closes his eyes, and after that, things might get worse. It can't be any worse than total collapse, you point out. Don't say that, Sleeper, he says. Peaky sits back at the terminal and brings up a map of the eye. Rotational control at the hub, life support at the free spoke, power routing at Havanage shipyards. They stab at the ring of each one, making them in red. Then there's the central core. As I understand it, is somewhere on the rim. I'd need to find it. They push their hair out of their face. We'll seed the gardener in all these places. Peak pauses, but how are we going to do that? Transplant the greenway. 8 green gardeners transplant the greenway. Peaky smiles. Of course, the garden needs plants to care for. That is what the protocol dictates. They must have been part of the farming management system of the Eye back when Solheim built it. We seed greenway plants into those systems and the gardener will seek them out. Protect them. Peaky stares at the map of the Eye. It's a wild idea, but it could work. But, they pause, we need a way into those systems. Havanage has most of them locked down for safety purposes. We can't just walk in. I know a guy, you say. Oh yes, returning characters. Peaky raises an eyebrow. Someone in Havanage's system team? You nod. After everything he dragged you through, you feel like Feng still owes you. Time to pay him a visit. Oh, okay. Well, Peaky looks at you sideways. I guess we should pay him a visit. Lead the way. You both leave the ship, carried forward by the excitement of the plan and an eagerness to not look at the details too closely. You push any lingering questions to the back of your mind. Time to head to Feng's Bay. Yeah. So, we got these things also on the ticker as well. We'll get back to them. I need to talk to Fen though. Now, Feng's Bay. Find Feng. Can't do that yet. Okay. Though we got a +2 in that roll, so that means anything with a 4 or up, we can basically get our results for him relatively quickly. And these people here. I knew you'd come. Aki greets you outside the dust bowl, her eyes as bright as always. You're very welcome here, as always. Good to see you, Aki, you say. She smiles. And you, Sleeper. Aki puts hand on your arm. Walk with me. And she guides you past the dust house. You look inside and see other members of the crew working in the orange dust, planting and tending to the steppes ecosystem. We are to be suppliers for the evacuees. I am sure you have heard. We will put the dust house to use. She leads you past a dust house where the dust is less, the orange glow not as bright, and the air a little more clean. We are adapting slowly, but we are adapting. We have produced food, clothing, clothes, necessary things for the journey ahead. She smiles. The plants of the steppe are once again sustaining a population that makes me proud. Aki stops at a half-eaten empty dust house. Scorched of its sand, it is being filled with mulch. We brought this from the greenway. She stares at the green and brown, a strange sight, even to you, now that you've used to the amber dust of the steppe. I admit it's hard work for us. We are not familiar with these plants. Can you help us? Aki meets your eye. I will do my best, you say. Aki looks away, of course. I'm sorry. She furrows her brow. I know that the eye is suffering. That is at risk. I know what that is like. It's okay, you say. I wish I had learned to share with you from our loss of the steppe. She shakes her head. But for the moment I cannot see what that might be. She gathers herself. If it gives you the meaning, the work here is steady and worthwhile. But if you do not have time, she smiles weakly a smile, I will not blame you. Hold on to your memories, but not too tightly, she pauses. Sadness would not sustain you. She falls silent, and you both watch the work in the dust house for a while. You are already seeing a green fringe of moss on mulch in the dust house. First sign of new life. Will you soon be like the people of the steppe, leaving behind a home, or will you be stubborn and hold your ground despite what it might mean? You wait a little longer for Aki, a moment of welcome suspense in the air, a rare moment in this rush towards the end. You glance at Aki and she puts a hand on your shoulder in solidarity. After a while, Aki sighs. It is good to see you, Sleeper. Perhaps you will see each other again before we depart. She walks away, fingertips brushing against the glass of the dust house windows. Aki turns back for a moment as if she wants to say something, then thinks better of it and turns away. Okay, so what do they need? Just time. So they need just like basically it's going to be just how much resources we can dump in. The docking axis in the chaos is in chaos when you arrive. The staccato bursts of welding torches, the shouts of crews gathering, the rapid flow of supplies and kit from dock to dock. You can tell already that news of the flotilla's imminent departure has reached this place before you. Come to join the Exodus, Sleeper? Petir approaches you from one of the working crews, a smile on his face and lightness in his step you haven't seen before. Not quite, you say. Peter eyes you. I suppose you're here on Sol's orders again. He winks at you. Nothing Ember's half likes to do more than ordering people around. I'm here by choice, you say. Fair enough. Just your timing seems to always be cycled to after we get some requests from half sips. He shrugs an extravagant shrug. Must be a coincidence. Well, Sol has it lucky anyway. He requests for us to dismantle the Axis and be the vanguard flotilla onwards journey to the Starward Belt aligns perfectly with our plans. What plans? To leave this damn place, of course. We've been prepping ever since the cordon collapsed. If we build our escape and make the half-sips think we are complying with their orders at the same time, then it's 2 in 1 for us. Petir shakes his head. Those idiots will never see it coming. You're leaving the flotilla? We are our own flotilla, Sleeper. Petir looks away at the busy Axis. We aren't going to tie ourselves to half and step any longer. Why would we? To help them, you say. Peter scoffs. They are taking on evacuees from the Eye. That's what I heard. So how about they help themselves before they ask us to make up for their bad decisions? Petir looks down. Look, nothing against you or your Sleeper, but we have to get out from under the shadow of Step and Song, and this is the time. Petir grimaces. We won't let the flux catch us again, not a chance, and for the first time you see fear in his eyes. Want to help us make this leap? Grab a torch, talk to the crew. You're welcome to it. Petir sniffs. Every person here is free to improve themselves. I help when I can. Petir nods. Just a stop on the road, Sleeper. I'm afraid that's all this was. Petir glances out past the docking axis, through the outer windows to the stars beyond. A lot of space out there for those willing to take it. He looks you in the eye. I hope you will be around before we go. But if not, he smiles. Stay strong. And with that, Petir thumps you on the shoulder and heads back to his crew with a purpose, a direction visible in every step of his rapid stride. Oh, great. Okay, so they're going to basically bust off as well, and they need tons of resources. Okay, so this is all going to come down to dice games. Dice games and more dice games. Okay, let's... First things first, we need to find Feng, which will be the hardest thing to get done. Throw some food at the cat. End the cycle. Advantage is probably going to be a massive pain. Remember, with the clocks we have, they don't work the same way, so... Let's get that going. Man, I've got all 6s as well. Oh, that sucks. It's going to take 3 dice just to get Feng on board. Ah, man. That's it. No more wasting time. Peaky sighs as you pull out their slate. They crack open a box on the side of the bay shutter and the wire to the slate back. They crack open a box on the side of the bay shutter and wire the slate to what's inside. Maybe your friend has haven its passcode or something inside. Peaky shoots you a glance. Something they won't mind if we borrow. Let's wait, you say. Peaky doesn't look up. We don't have time to wait, they sigh. Come on, coming here was a mistake. After a few tense moments, the shutter jerks and begins to grind open, the noise making you jump. Let's go inside. Peaky glances around quickly. You slip into the dark of the bay, punctuated by the blinking lights of Feng's pillars of service, somehow even more disordered than before. Peaky makes a beeline for the desk at the Peaky makes a beeline for the desk at the centre, scattered with tools and components. They flick on a lamp and stare at the mess. Are you sure this person can help us? Yes, you say. You're interrupted by the sound of footsteps from the entrance. Someone has come behind you. Peaky freezes. I could swear I closed the shutters when I left. Feng leans on a stack of servers near the entrance. Must be forgetful, he grins at you. Feng, you say. Very same, Feng smiles. Feng raises an eyebrow. Thought you'd come to rob an old friend. Is that the plan? We need your help. Feng nods. You hear about the flux. Peaky nods and is suddenly giving Feng their full attention. Feng smiles, pleased with himself. I guessed as much. I saw changes in the old system architecture almost immediately. Some of them have been running since the first days of the station, so when I saw new patterns, shift in logic, I knew something must have happened. These past cycles I've been doing a total inventory of the core systems, from the hub to the rim, he grins. I'm surprised myself, to be honest. I didn't think I had it in me. Peaky seems unamused. And what did you find? Feng sighs. That's the thing. There's something all twisted up in the systems and protocols, but every time I look at it, it disappears. Peaky finishes. Feng turns to you. Do they always do that? Peaky ignores them. It's a shadow protocol. It's masking itself somehow, bedding into the gaps between the systems in a negative space. It is slowly filling every system in the station, slowly taking over. We need to stop it. We need to grant us access to all core systems. Systems at the station, rotation control, life support. Feng holds up a hand. Whoa. Slow down there. I don't even know your name, Feng shakes his head. And you are asking for keys to the castle? Can't be done. Feng, it's me, you say. Feng pauses and glances between both of you. How long have you known this one, Sleeper? I know I owe you, but I also know that you trust too easily. Sorry to say it. Peaky cuts in. I can vouch for myself. I came to the Eye on the run from the XPR colony Hawthorne, with the intent to keep running until we hit the Starwood Belt. But since I have been here, I have been doing everything in my power to protect this place. I have helped to stabilize the refugee flotilla, to investigate the flux, to identify and to make a plan to purge the shadow protocol from the station systems. Meanwhile, Havenage has done everything to stop and slow those actions. I have proven myself as a friend to the people of the station, not to the administration, many times over. And I will not be doubted by someone who wears the badge of this corrupt administration. Peaky fixes Feng with a hard look. Feng looks down at their Havana's jacket and shrugs. This is all I have in my wardrobe, he mutters. Look, I have no love for the Council either, friend, but somehow someone has to run this place, and that someone is me. Feng walks over to the workbench where you're both standing and digs a slate out the pile of tools. You want to prove yourself? Show me. Peaky grabs the slate and you recognise the tangled form of a flux node on the screen. Peaky immediately starts tapping away at it, its tendrils unwinding and the shadow, just slightly delayed, slipping out of sight. Feng leans in. Interesting, he says to himself. Before long, Peaky has unfolded the system completely, and its lies spread out like an unbound ball of string. At the centre, with nowhere left to hide, is the dark stain of the Shadow Protocol, visible for all to see. What now? Feng asks, his eyes fixed on the screen. How do you kill it? That's why we're here, you say. Feng looks intrigued. Go on. There's one entity on the station that we have seen purging the shadow. The Gardener, says Peaky. Feng frowns. Who's that? Some Greenway hacker? Peaky glances at you, more like an avatar of the Greenway itself. You explain the Gardener to Feng, the feeling of descending into the flowing river of consciousness. You explain the networked chorus, the non-human collective of voices, and tell him of the farming AI's offer to you, to be networked into the chorus, dissolved into its flow. Then you explain that by granting access to the AI's major networks, you hope to reinforce them. Feng is silent for a moment. And you want to let this thing out? He shakes his head. That's the kind of stupid plan I'd dream up, he pauses. I like it, he smiles. This place is rammed with weird protocols, forgotten intelligences anyway. What's one more ghost in the machine? We'd like to try to limit it, of course, Peaky explains. That's why we want your help to access the AI's major systems, to seed some of the gardener's spores in them, to spread the gardener's focus to those places. Feng whistles. So the way we save the eye is by growing mushrooms in all the server stacks? He glances at Yusipa. Congratulations, you found someone weirder than you. Peaky goes to argue, but Feng holds up a hand. In it, all systems have its passcode with his picture on it. Take it before it changes my mind. Thank you, you say. Don't mention it, Feng, if you look. In all honesty, Sleeper, I was on my way back here to start tearing the place down. The Shadow Protocol had me spooked, so if you're telling me you figured a way we might fight it... He looks at Peaky. No matter how crazy, but I'm glad to help. He smiles, a tight smile. What will you do now? Come with us, you say. No, Sleeper. He looks away. I have to keep on with my work here, strengthening those systems, backing up the data. The worst comes to the worst, I'll need to rebuild. I won't let this place die. The last piece of my parents are here amongst the data. Goodbye, Feng. Feng embraces you firmly. Stay safe, Sleeper. Take the card and leave the bay with Peaky. Once you're outside, they stop you. We should split up. Peaky looks worried. We've wasted enough time as it is. Head to the facility in the hub, the Free Spoke, and the far side of the shipyard. Seed the gardener there. I'm going to find the core central control center that's somewhere on the rim. They hold up their slate. I'll send you a message on your slate when I have something. Good luck. They squeeze your shoulder and you exchange fierceful looks. You know deep down that Peaky isn't sure if this will work, but you have decided to act, to move with confidence, and for that confidence you are very thankful. Okay. Yeah. So how many spores is needed? Well, get one in there. We need a lot. Okay. Well, fortunately we still have a D6 on us. So we can go back to gathering spores. And I pressed the wrong thing. Dag nabbit. One spore isn't enough. Okay. We're gonna have to sleep. That was really bad. That was really bad on my part. I messed up with that. Okay, and the clock is ticking. Okay. Grab that one. Judging that if we need so many spores, I'm probably going to have to do it a couple more times. Get what we need to get. Throw some money at the problem. We can collect them from here as well. Our fruits of our labour, which is okay. We don't need that right now. Okay. I might have wasted a ton of dice I didn't need to waste. Fantastic. Yeah, wasted a ton of dice I didn't need to waste. Okay. That's done. As you leave the slate, the slate Peaky gives you chirps instantly. You check the and see the message. Found a possible entry to the core facility in the low end. Meet me there as soon as possible, Peaky. A blinking marker gives you the position as on the free spoke side of the main block. Better head to the low end. Okay. You arrive at the coordinates given to you by Peaky's slate, a rundown but active corner of the low end, where a short glass roof alley turns off from one of the main thoroughfares. You wait in the mouth of the alley, leaning against the wall and watching the street life go by. Children hop across grids scratched into the metal floor plate, playing games of their own division, while older residents sit and talk or play Talva. It's hard to believe that all this is a threat. So it's hard to believe that all of this is at threat. It seems so concrete, so real. How can some intangible protocol erase all of this? As you watch, a voice calls out to you from one of the Talva tables set up along the way. You move a little closer and recognise the sitting player immediately. Caster sits, Talva pieces and board ready to in front of him, smiling at you. Sleeper, my partner has not arrived for our usual game. Come please, take her place. He beckons you over, standing and nudging you to sit down with him. A rematch is in order. You owe me a game. Almost immediately, Caster begins the game. Everyone on the eye knows how to play Tavlar. The methodical movement of counters across their triangular points are ready fit for the rhythmic life of the ramshackle space station. Most games begins the same way, with each player moving with independence, focused only on achieving their opening early game setup. But there is a moment in each game where it becomes necessary to notice the other player, to anticipate the crossing of counters across the board. A point of contact, when routine becomes negotiation and negotiation becomes conflict. At this moment arises the subtle shift in the texture of the interaction. Caster begins to speak. I find myself surprised by you continually, Sleeper. He looks over his glasses at you. The way you conduct yourself, for example, suggests an anxious refrain, a defensive, protective quality. But in your Talva game, he pauses to move a counter. I see only risk. Have you been watching me, you say? Caster sighs. Let's not be paranoid. You are aware of my interest in you, are you not? Risk is of course necessary to play Tavlar. To move a piece is to expose it, but it should be done with calculation, with proper analysis. Then, if the piece is taken, Caster moves a counter, taking one of yours with a practiced swipe, placing it beside the board. It is already accounted for, but you have moved forward with abandon, as if risk was just a secondary effect of the action, a consequence, not its primary guide. He gestures to you to take your turn. A cause. Silently play. Caster nods. See what I mean? Risky in play, but defensive in mood. He smiles. You move your piece. This locks you into being reactive. If you don't mind me saying so, you are responding, which means you are being led. He leans back to consider the board. This place, it mirrors you, Sleeper. It is also reactive. It is born from a crisis, a collapse of Solheim. Never since it has been reacting without any central guiding principles. No analysis, no calculation. Just look at your refugee crisis, for example. It's all reaction, all risk-taking, and little risk calculation. At first I found the chaos enlivening, especially when trying to track its outcome, but now I find it exhausting. He laughs. It always amuses me that this place is literally spun from the rim. Below this very stack of habitation blocks is the most important control facility on the eye. Spun from the rim, he laughs again. What better metaphor could you find for disorder? His face drops. But why am I telling you that? That facility is precisely why you are here. He smiles, unsettlingly warm smile. You feel a shiver through your body, as if something has changed in the air. What is this? You say. No words come out of your mouth. You feel removed from yourself, watching from behind frosted glasses Your eyes darted side to side, inert, set in. Caster is still smiling. The risk you are planning to take here, Sleeper, is not yours to take. Caster's tone is unsifted. He speaks as if it's still some casual conversation between passing acquaintances. You are leaping towards a chaotic outcome with no respect for risk. You see, calculating outcomes. That's my speciality. That's why I am here. I was hired as a conduit for risk, as a collector of data that might pertain to its arrival. He removes his glasses to clean them, and you see something flicker across their surface, a simmering stream of characters. This system, this station, is already theirs. Solheim's collapse meant a corporate fire sale. Assets changed hands. My employers, Sunset Stat, brought out the entire system, and for the past decades have been its one valid owner. He polishes his glasses diligently. But to possess this system, the H1 system, he pauses, Helenon, to you, well, that is a matter of risk. How much force, how much cost, how much conflict a clearance would take. He places his glasses. That risk must be calculated against the favourable outcome. In short, how much is this place worth to us? For a long time, the answer was nothing. H1 could offer nothing that warranted the risk, but the markets change and demands shift, and Senate Stat. We analyse, we follow, we respond. He puts his glasses back on his face. H1 is about to become the most important system in this part of the galaxy. He glances around. The lone CAN channel operating within a range of 7 or so newly surveyed resource-rich systems. The frontier town that could feed the gold rush, so to speak. So here we are, re-evaluating the risk, reclaiming our property, starting up the CAN channel and clearing the way for what comes next. He sits back looking at the board. He gestures. Your move. You will kill thousands, you say. You manage to force out the words. Caster looks a little surprised. I am an analyst, Sleeper. I will do nothing. He shakes his head. Sanet Stat, as the corporate body, will take the required actions. Of course, I do not need to explain myself to you. But in the role of an analyst, in my calculations, I see great promise in you, in your ability to enter systems, to sift them to your will. Not every sleeper has this capability. I assume you know that, he smiles. It is truly a wondrous happenstance for SNR technology. I imagine even they are not fully aware of it. He takes his move, claiming another of your pieces, and as you watch, you realise the inevitability of his victory. I will make you an offer. To come willingly or come by force, the station will collapse. We can be sure of that, but your ability to work with data, for an analyst, that is very intriguing. He pauses to push his glasses up his nose. Very intriguing indeed. He glances around. Come with me as a collaborator or as a prisoner. Consider the risk. On one hand, almost certain death, on the other, a possible future. Analysis or not, you must see it. Speak now, Sleeper. The game is forfeit. You must see that. He holds out a hand. You are of value. You are needed. You feel a slight release in the inertia that grips you, enough to allow you to speak, to respond. You realise that you are already in Caster's hands, but you cannot move from this place if you wanted. Sleeper. You hear a familiar voice above the crowd. Sleeper, I'm here. You're unable to turn your head to see Peaky, but you notice Caster's eyes following them as they come up from behind you. When you see Caster's eyes glance down towards his hands concealed beneath the table. Sleeper, Peaky comes around the front of you and waves a hand in your face. We were supposed to meet, remember? They glance at Caster. Sorry, am I interrupting something? You cannot speak. Caster suits Peaky a smile. Hello! You must be a friend of Sleeper. You watch as one of his hands is closing to his body, dark shape concealed in it, a weapon. Try to scream, to shout, but Caster's attention remains partially on you, and while it does, you can do nothing. Peaky glances at your static form. What's happening here, Sleeper? You put a hand on your shoulder. Are you okay? As Peaky stares into your eyes, you see Caster behind, his hand lifting, the dark object unfolding. In that split moment, it does. You feel his attention shifting to Peaky, shifting away from you. As you do, you feel the inertia lifting, and you know this is the only moment you have to act. Shove. You launch You lurch forward wildly like a spring trap, your head striking Peaky's chest and then carrying him back into Caster. Somehow, some digital screeching is echoing through the walkway. They tumble together and the object in Caster's hand skitters across the floor. You realise the screeching is you. You get to your feet, grab Peaky and run. You run as hard as you can, the screaming chasing you down the walkway as you shove through the residence, Peaky dragged behind you. You run from the cold grip of whatever power Caster had over you, signals that locked you in this body of yours, that broke the connections that crawled up your spine. Eventually you stop, both you and Peaky collapsing, heaving, breathing into a cold metal floor. When you're able to speak, Peaky asks you to explain. You tell him everything. Caster told you about Senate Stat, about their claim on the Helion system, their reactivation of the CAN channel, and the Helion system's growing importance. It flows out of you in desperate gulps, unable to believe your own mouth as you hear those words coming back to you. All you feel is a need to push back against the cold hands in your shoulder, the vast cold eye that's turned to look at the system, the ghost limbs of corporate control that are extending their reach. Peaky is quiet for a long time, then they speak. We have to finish this, Sleeper. They must. You meet her eye. We have to complete the seeding of the system. We have to set the gardener free. You're right. If the choice is between the gardener and these people, I would choose the gardener every time. Your eyes are cold. Their eyes are cold and steely. I would choose anything over them. You stand together. The final control facility is here. I found it. Peaky looks at you grimly. I can take you as soon as you are ready. Time's almost up. This is the only shot you'll have. Okay. Crack the facility. Let's go. Damn it. A 1 is not what we need. And now we've got people hunting us as well. Okay. Let's get the gardener set up. And let's just hope it works. So we don't have a lot of time. But that's for next time, folks. I've been Cornish-knight. This has been Tinted to Sleep, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.